from Functional Flex, Team FFLEX. We're talking about unilateral versus bilateral training. Now, this is something that comes up. People want to know, what the hell is it? What are we even talking about in the first place? So first things first, unilateral training means one limb at a time. Very simple. Unilateral movements. Different movements happening at different times. So think like lunges, right? In a lunge, we got one leg forward, one leg behind you. Unilateral movements because each leg is working separately doing something different. Same if you're going to do a single arm curl or a single arm press, single arm row, single leg deadlifts, whatever, anything where we have a single action happening, it's technically a unilateral movement. While other movements may be involved like the lunge, etc., you're still going to be getting a unilateral benefit because you're training where there's more freedom and more motion. So what does a bilateral mean? Bilateral means two at once, two things at once. So think your bench press, both arms working at the same time, both sides of my body working at the same time. Think a squat, you're squatting down, both legs are working at the same time you come up. A traditional deadlift, body's gonna work all together basically there, but both legs are planted and working at the same time. Shoulder press overhead, rows, two arm rows, all these things are bilateral exercises. So unilateral training, single limb motions basically. And bilateral training, two limbs working at the same time. That's the best way, easiest way to think of it. Now, what's the difference? What's better and what should you be focusing on? You see, they both are uniquely beneficial. Now, a lot of people need to start with bilateral training for the most part and get strong there before they go to unilateral training. Let's say we have somebody who's brand new, somebody who's a beginner, never lifted much weights, never did a bunch of stuff, but they got new fitness goals, they don't know where to start. You need to learn the basic human movements first before you go play around with all the fancy new fucking exercises in the magazines and shit. You need to learn the basics. Your squats, your deadlifts, your pushes, your pulls. That's basically it. You break it down into 4 movements. For the most part, those are all going to be bilateral movements where you need to start to facilitate a foundation of strength. You need to get your weights and you need to increase them over time, get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then we can throw a lot of isolation unilateral movements in. Take somebody who's intermediate. You should still have the bilateral movements in your routines with more types of isolation. Because usually by the time that you're moving into intermediate, more advanced type stages with your training, you have more specifics. Like you want to build your shoulders more, you want to shape your triceps more, you want to get the biceps bigger, you want your glutes to look this way, that way, etc. And the way that we're going to do those things is through a lot more unilateral training. Okay? Because see, what happens with bilateral training is it's working your entire body at the whole time for the most part. So if we think about a deadlift, right? If you're doing a deadlift with a maximal type weight, a heavy weight, a decent weight, there's not going to be one single muscle in your body, maybe besides your face is probably still going to work, that's working, right? Everything in your body's going to go to work. Your grips, your shoulders, your chest, your back, your legs, your hamstrings, your quads, your calves, your toes, all that shit is going to work to do the deadlift. Same thing's going to happen with a squat. It's going to target everything, hit your core, all this kind of stuff. A lot of times pull-ups, dips, all those, they're going to target many muscle groups at once. So we're going to be getting a good benefit for overall strength, good benefit for overall muscle base, but we're not going to necessarily be shaping these things out in a certain way, okay? The shaping comes more with unilateral type training. Because a lot of times what's going to happen with bilateral training is one side will overwork versus the other. What I mean by this is like, if you've ever been in the gym for any length of time, you've seen the person on the bench press with one arm up here and one down here. Okay? We've all seen that. Or we've seen the person that squats and they feel like they're shifting to one side, and they are actually shifting. They're shifting one side of their body's working harder than the other. Or someone on a deadlift, they rotate. They're coming up and they're twisting. Your body is not perfectly symmetrical. Okay? Everybody's naturally stronger on one side, usually their dominant side, and bilateral type training will throw that off because it's a bar, right? It's a barbell that we're using most of the time bilateral type training. And so therefore, that stronger side is always going to be stronger and it's going to favor the weaker, which eventually will cause some problems. It's going to cause some injuries, some compensatory patterns, other kinds of things, and over and underdeveloped muscle groups, which is not ideal. So that's where we bring this unilateral training in, right? So let's say, for example, I want to do a leg day. I might start my leg day with squats because it's a nice bilateral type exercise, and if it has a reason to be in my program, perfect, it's in there. Then I could do lunges, unilateral type training. I could do single leg extensions, where I'm going to get more unilateral type training. Then I might do some deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts, bilateral, both legs. Then I might want to do some single leg hamstring curls or other type of movements like that. You see where we're going? We got to have the blend of both here. So basically you're attacking the bilateral movements to get stronger, to build more muscle base, and then we're using the unilateral type training to shape it, correct any compensatory patterns, and make sure that each side of our body is developing evenly. So, you need to have both of these in every type of training that you're going to do, no matter who you are. If you're a sports athlete, you're a fucking marathon runner, you're a competitive bodybuilder, a bikini competitor, somebody who just wants to look better, an average everyday gym goer, it doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, you got to train all the movements. Because see, the root of all training, especially strength training, weight training, etc., is that you are simply mastering human movement. That's it. You got to have all the movement patterns, okay? So I recommend you stay a lot away from the machines for the most part. You play with the free weights, let your body move, let your body learn, get your bilateral training right. If you're a beginner, start there. And if you are advanced or intermediate, doesn't even matter. You're always going to have that type of training. You always want to have the blend of bilateral, unilateral for virtually any stage, any goal, any time to make sure that you're getting all your bases covered. Coach Rat is out.